Work?
Yeah.
All right. Seconds. 5 minutes and 29 seconds. Are you ready?
Whew. It's going to go fast.
Well, we don't have to get through all of it.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. Thank God. Okay.
Yeah. Nobody wants to listen to that. 17 minutes of stuff in 5 and go. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
And we're back. And we all know it's true that saving money is really, really fun. Right?
It is
I love
very
it.
fun.
You love it. We know that there's all kinds of money that we're dropping right now, more than we were even just a few months ago.
Right.
You know, we could all crab about that, but really that's what we're all doing when we're not listening to the radio. So at least here we don't have to spend too much more time on that, right?
Yes. Just solutions here.
Let's just deal with solutions. And we gave solutions. We were dishing out solutions in the last segment, talking about some more inexpensive paint lines. And what makes that a little bit interesting, well, we were here, so it's tremendously interesting. But what makes it a little more interesting is that the products we covered were products that we don't normally shine a spotlight on.
Right. We don't normally talk about those things on the show because, quite honestly, they're a little bit less interesting technology-wise. It doesn't give us as much to talk about. There aren't as many cool features of a more inexpensive product.
Right. Paint, you know, you're trying to figure out what is the story paint is telling, and ScuffX tells a story because it resists scuffing.
Right.
But regular paint, well, it went on. It looks like a color.
There's paint.
Not a lot of story there.
Yeah.
But it is a story if you're trying to save some money, and we've got great options, and that's what we covered. Now, in this segment, we want to talk about tools, and it's going to have to bleed over into next segment as well. But we're going to talk about all the paint tools that you typically need for a basic paint project, right?
Yeah, especially if you're just starting out and this is your first home, maybe you're collecting all of those tools still. It could be a lot to buy and a big investment.
Right. Now, saving money on tools and stuff like that isn't just buying the cheapest stuff we can find. We talked about that last time.
Right.
You know, it's a common saying that cheap cheese ruins the casserole. Right?
Oh,
have you heard
sure.
that before?
Okay. I just say cheap is cheap.
Okay. Well, cheap. I like mine because cheap cheese ruins the casserole. Everybody can relate to that. Dog hair ruins the casserole, but that's not really what we're getting at.
Right.
It's the cheap that can sometimes wreck something. And when you skimp on certain tools, you can have bad results. Sometimes you can skimp and it's no big deal.
Right.
So we want to kind of go over the basic tools that you would need, and we'll give you a thumbs up from me or Haley. We'll decide, is this one that you skimp on? Is this one that you drop money on? And let's start with brushes, Haley. What do you think? When it comes to brushes for my paint project, is this a skimp on it, or is this a drop the big bucks and get something good?
Okay, I have kind of a split answer. I know this is cheating a little bit.
No, I'm going to cheat too, so don't worry about it.
But normally, I would spend on a brush. That's where I would splurge. However, for the sake of argument here, I think skimp.
Okay, I think so too. I think I'm exactly where you're at. It's a tough call because better brushes save you money in the long run.
Yes, because you can clean them out easier.
Right,
they release the paint. They're designed to do that.
Yeah.
Cheap brushes aren't designed to clean out super well because they're throwaway.
Right. They're disposable. And I've spent, $18 on a good brush, and I did that 5 years ago, and that's still my go-to brush. It works better. It applies more paint. When I'm cutting in, it's the brush I really want to use. But I've had a number of projects where, maybe I'm using oil-based paint, something that's not as easy to clean up. Sometimes even certain projects with water-based paint. I've got a cheap brush on hand. It does the job, and it gets me by. And it costs me maybe $13, $14 less.
And sometimes, honestly, I'm the person that forgets to clean out the brush soon enough for it to be easy enough for me to want to clean out. And that's a real bummer if it is an expensive brush because now I've just wasted money.
Yeah, you need to know yourself.
Yes, exactly.
If you're not a cleaner outer, then don't be a buyer of good brushes because it's not going to be good. Whatever brush you're using, though, you need to know how to take care of it for its purpose. Like you mentioned, a cheaper brush. They don't wash out as well, but you would want to potentially, if you're working over the course of a couple of days, wrap them up really well. Now, sometimes people will wrap them in saran wrap and put them in the freezer. You don't need to go to the freezer route. I like Reynolds wrap, aluminum foil. Wrap them with that really tight. You can store them in, room temperature spaces, and they'll be good for a couple of days. and then once you've finished up the project, you can toss them.
Exactly,
If
yeah.
you're going to buy a good brush, you need to make sure you know how to clean it out, and you need to do that after every project. Don't wrap up your good brush and store it over a couple of nights.
Right. I think the sooner you wash those out, the better. And even a tip that I learned is pre-wetting a brush with water before you start painting will actually help it clean out a little bit easier. Not with spit, Dan.
So you don't lick it. That's not good.
If you're watching the video, you just watched him demonstrate.
Yeah.
If not, you're spared. But no, pre-wetting in the sink, just a little bit of dampness will help it release that paint once you are cleaning it out later.
Yeah, so definitely clean it out if it's a better brush. Spin it dry in your hands. Wrap it in a paper towel to get that shape back.
Yeah.
And store it that way. Definitely something to think about. Avoid the really cheap dollar store brushes. They're going to leave off bristles and all of those things.
Yeah,
so
don't go that far.
Don't want to go to dollar store brushes. They're going to give off bristles and stuff like that. Don't go to that length to save money.
Right.
Get one of these other brushes that we talked about. The Wooster Soft Tip is a great one.
Absolutely.
We'll have links in the show notes. You can check them out. All right. We don't have any more time for this one. No throwdown yet. We agree so far. We're going to see how we do on the other side of the break coming up soon. Stick around. Is that good?
Good.
Well, Haley, we're working our way through a list of paint tools, commonly used things on a paint project, and we're giving you the recommendation as to whether or not we would spend the money on them to get really high-end premium tools for this particular one.
Skimp.
Or maybe skimp on this one. And we started with brushes. And although there were a number of caveats and all kinds of different things like that, the bottom line is probably that if you have to skimp on a project, you could skimp on the brush. That's one place you could make that cut without...
Yeah, we agreed on that one. I was surprised.
Yeah, not too much of a loss there. Let's go to roller covers. That's what's next. What do you think on that one? Skimp or don't skimp?
Splurge.
Okay, this is a splurge.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the most important tool when you're painting because it's what's applying paint to most of the space that you're painting. Mm-hmm. And that applicator has real power in that situation to even make the worst paints look like they're well applied.
And it's got the ability to make the best paints look like they've been terribly
applied.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely affects it. Now, brushes, that would play into that conversation as well. If you're doing most of the project as brushwork,
exactly,
then you really need to go get a better brush because there is absolutely no reason trying to save a few bucks here and there when it's talking about the applicator.
Exactly.
That's putting most of the product down. And it really is an interesting thing that happens because I've done it in the past. I talk to people a fair amount in the stores where, well, I'm going to go wherever and just get a little cheaper roller cover. And the funny thing is, on a normal project, how many roller covers are you doing? A normal average project, 2 at the most, right? Normally that'd be how it goes. A good roller cover you can get for $4. Mm-hmm. A really good one.
A really good one.
All right, so
best.
$4. So $8 total for a roller covers.
Yes.
On this particular project. How much is a cheap roller cover?
$2 something?
Yeah. Let's just make it $1. So you get 2 of them, for $1 each, so $2. You're talking a net gain of $6, and you're really sacrificing potentially the quality of that finish, how it looks, and it's not worth it. There are better places to make that cut, and right now, honestly, we've got something going on. We don't run tons of crazy specials at Repcolite. It's just kind of not our bag. But we are running a great special on Micro Plush Wooster roller covers. They're 9-inch covers, 5/16-inch nap, so a great all-purpose nap.
Exactly.
And they're $265.
Normally, they'd be over $4 a piece, so it's a huge savings, and there's really no reason at this point not to get a super nice roller cover.
Right. They're $2.65 each. There's no limit. You don't have to buy... Yeah, there's no limit either. Buy as many as you want. Come. Buy roller covers for all your friends, but no minimum. You can come and buy one. You can come and buy a box. And this is the time, when we see a savings like that, it's very interesting to think about buying just a box. If you do a lot of painting, having a box of 12 covers, it's going to run about $32. It's a savings of $18. For those covers. So it's like buying 8 covers and getting 4 free.
Exactly.
4 free covers. And then you've got them in a box. You can store them in the basement, wherever you work.
It's not like they're going to go bad.
Right. And you've always got one when you're ready to tackle that next project. So something to think about. Those are Micro Plush covers from Wooster. top of the line?
Honestly, they're my favorite to use because I don't have to worry about them shedding, which I really like. I've had projects where I have had little fuzzes stick to the wall, and it's so frustrating. I'm the only one probably that sees it, but it drives me nuts. And I like that these don't have shed.
Do you point it out to people? Like at your home, you show them a room that you painted. Do you show them all the flaws?
Here, come over here. I want to show you where the roller cover actually stuck to the wall.
You don't do that, right?
No.
I do. If I build something or if I do something, there's something wrong. Oh my God. But I will walk in and people will say, "Oh, that looks very good. Very nice." And I'll say, "Well,
no, it doesn't.
Look over here. It's just a train wreck over here. I don't know what was going on." Yeah, I don't know why I do that. I might be the only one that notices it, but when you're rolling it on, you know what we're talking about. You get little clumps of stuff. The fuzzies from the roller cover, it's a real pain. You're picking it off the wall. Now you got to re-roll, and you put more fuzzies down.
Yeah.
These are shed resistant. They give you a spray-like finish. So perfect for cabinets, doors.
Super even.
Flat surfaces. Yeah. Wooster micro plush roller covers. Right now, they're $265 each. That's through the end of the month. So definitely something to check out, and certainly not a product to skimp on. Okay. Roller frames. That's the next on my list. Roller frames, the cage that the roller cover goes on.
Right.
Skimp or a don't skimp, Haley?
I would skimp here. I wouldn't skimp on the roller cover itself, but I could potentially skimp on the frame, even though it is, pretty important.
Yeah, I guess I'd agree with this one. This is really boring. We're agreeing.
I know.
I wanted to disagree.
I was really hoping that the brush one would start us off right. I thought you were going to disagree with me on that.
No, I'd have to agree with you on that one. I agree with you on this one. I think if you do a lot of painting, all of these have caveats.
Yeah.
If I do a ton of work, if you're my mom or like my mom, get the best stuff because you're going to be happier in the long run because these things don't go bad. You can keep them and keep them and keep them. And there are all kinds of really good ones out there. Wooster Sherlock roller frames. They have these little retaining clips on the end. You slide your roller cover on, and it stays on.
Right.
And it won't work its way off. Sometimes they walk their way off on the cheaper ones.
And that does happen, and it can lead to kind of like roller lines on the wall. You'll get this little build-up line along the edge of that frame, and that's kind of annoying. So if you're going to use a cheaper one, just keep an eye on that. Adjust as necessary so you don't end up with something that is not as nice.
Right. The other thing that those Wooster Sherlock frames will do is they've got a quick connect on the bottom. It's an easy clip-on, clip-off kind of thing that works with the Wooster extension poles, which we'll talk about in a minute. But they snap right on. They snap right off. You can switch them out. Really, really convenient. They lock. There's like a hex nut on there that locks in that roller frame handle so it doesn't roll back and forth. If you've ever screwed a handle onto an extension pole, just a threaded one, it will loosen.
Work itself out, yeah.
So there's a lot to be gained by going to the really good stuff. But in the grand scheme of things, if you're trying to save some money, those little cheaper ones will work. I've got them. I've used them for years. They're not quite as sturdy, but they do work.
They do work. It'll get the job done.
Definitely. So, okay, roller frames, probably a place to skimp if you need to. Extension poles, what do you think about those? Skimp or don't skimp?
Well, here's the thing. If you're going to skimp on a roller cover frame, what we just talked about, the cage, you might as well skimp on the extension pole because you don't have that quick connect option anyways.
No, but it's extra money you could be spending. And sometimes we just want to drop the coin, right?
You would splurge here.
No, of course not. It doesn't make any sense to splurge here. You can
get... I thought we were going to have to argue for a minute.
No. Those Wooster extension poles, they're Sherlock extension poles. They are absolutely brilliant.
Right.
Love these things. You can get them from 2 to 4 foot. You can get them from 8 to 16 foot. Anything in between. You push a little button and it will slide out and it locks into little holes in the pole. It's expendable. It's expandable.
Not expendable.
It's not expendable. And you really should be using a roller frame no matter what. You really should be using a roller extension pole no matter what you're painting. Well, unless it's cabinets, inside cabinets.
Sure.
Probably not.
Or trim.
Little inconvenient.
Yeah.
Right? Well, for trim, you could sit on the chair and just roll the room from the chair. No.
We should do like a weird Olympics of paint, and you can do that. We'll compete.
Okay. All right. I could do that. I like that. But no, for wall painting, having an extension pole, even if it's just a 2-footer, really takes some pressure off of you. It's just easier to work with. And you're not up and down ladders. You can quick pop it open to get to the 4 foot. And it's way better. If you haven't put that into your paint toolkit, you need to get one. Now, you could get the really nice ones. If you've got the nice roller frames, you need to get the really nice extension.
Yes, it like completes the system.
Right.
They go together.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to do that, we do have 4-foot wooden threaded extension poles. I mean, $5, something like that.
I think they're less than that even, yeah.
Get one, cut it in half. You've got your 2-foot. Get another one. You've got your 4-foot. And here's a quick little thing. If you really want to save money, your push broom probably has a threaded handle that's going to work with your extension or with your roller frame.
That's how you really skimp.
That's how you really
That's
skimp.
like a pro level skimp.
Yeah, but here's a pro level tip that goes with that. Make sure you put it back on your broom. Because if you don't do a lot of painting, I've lived this, I completely forgot where the thing was. So I go to the broom and I just...
my broom handle go?
Yeah, in the garage, I've only got the broom head. And literally, that's what I ended up using. I was on the floor. Well, I couldn't find the other thing.
So you're like Cinderella on your knees? Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yes, so don't do that. That's just absolutely
That's
stupid.
That's hilarious.
All right, extension poles. Could be a skimp. Yeah. Let's talk about paint trays. Always exciting, always fun. Everybody's most riveting part of a paint project is the paint tray.
Yeah, I think the audience might be surprised, but this is a splurge item. You're not really saving anything by skimping on the plastic ones. I think it's a difference of like 50 cents between a nice metal tray that you can get liners for.
A 9-inch standard roller tray.
Say that again.
Yeah, we're talking a 9-inch standard roller tray.
Yeah, the plastic ones don't really save you any money. And you can't get the liners for them, so you can't reuse them as easily as you can the metal ones.
Yeah, so get a metal tray, like you said, about 50 cents more, and then you buy the tray liners that go with it.
Exactly.
You hinted at that. They're like $1 a piece, something around that range, and they make cleanup so easy. They'll keep the tray looking great. They fit in like a glove because they're made for it. It's the system that works together, all from Worcester.
Right.
And they're not interchangeable. So you can buy tray liners at other places, and they don't fit necessarily the trays that you're buying at other places. It could be
really frustrating if you don't buy them together.
Yeah, buy them together, and then, you can rinse them out for a while. If you don't feel like doing that, you can just toss them.
I've turned them inside out before. I let the paint dry, and then I just flip them inside out, and now I can use them twice.
Super pro cheap there, too. So anyway, metal trays, that's a splurge, only because it doesn't make any sense to try to save money there. Here's one that you don't know that you were going to assess.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a curve ball. Cut-in buckets. Worcester makes those Pelican pails. They're little. They look like a great big coffee mug, kind of, like super huge.
Yeah,
and you put your hand in around the little handle, and it's got a little strap that's really nice. It makes it nice to hold. It's got a little side that you can roll, like a little tiny
you can use a roller
frame, right in there. And then it's got a magnet on the other side that will hold a brush. So if you're on a ladder, you're working, or you just don't want to carry around something with your gallon with paint in it, you carry this around. Really easy to work with.
Yeah.
They're not completely inexpensive. They're not crazy, but they're a fair amount. What would you do? Would you ever buy that, or would you just go to Tupperware? Not Tupperware, because that's expensive. Somebody's going to yell at you for that.
It's one that it would depend for me. If I were doing a room that was mostly brushing, like my sunroom, for example, where I'm going to be doing a bunch of windows, then it might make sense for me to splurge on that. However, most of the time, I'd probably skimp. I've got plenty of, like yogurt containers that I could rinse out and probably brush out of.
Sure. I don't really know what I do with this one. If I do a lot of painting, I'd buy one.
Right.
I use it all the time. I've got it at home. I love it. It's super convenient. It's not as easy to drop as a yogurt container because it's got that handle, that strap around your hand. Just decide. The last one, now you're just going to have to decide based on what you do project-wise. The last one, no, we got 2 more. Drop cloths. What do you think about drop cloths, Haley?
This is a splurge.
Oh, really?
Yes.
All right.
Do you disagree?
Nah, not really.
No.
Go for it. What would you do with this?
Canvas is the way to go. And it doesn't mean that you have to buy a giant canvas drop cloth because that can be expensive. Just get a small one and move it around the room with you. So you're still getting a nice drop cloth, but you're not spending the most money on a canvas drop cloth as you would with like a giant room-sized one.
Yeah, no, I know. I went back and forth on this one too. I guess where I was going to go was I was breaking it down by how often do you paint. That's always the first part of all of these. If it's a one and out, I would just get a paper and plastic. It'll cover like a 9 by 12 area,
Sure.
something like that. It's got a little more weight to it because it's got a layer of paper as well as the plastic.
Yeah.
I don't like just the plain plastic, especially if it's just on the floor.
No, it's really annoying to use.
Yeah, it's not fun to walk on. It blows around all over the place. This paper one is still going to blow if you're working outside, but at least it's got a little more stability on the floor.
Yeah.
And the paper will absorb paint drops better. Plastic doesn't normally absorb a whole lot.
And then
so
you
those
step in it, and the cat's
track them
tracking
all over
it.
the place.
Exactly.
So if I'm going to just do a little bit of painting and I need a full room drop cloth, that's what I would do. But I would also add to that a 4x15 canvas runner. That's what I would do. And honestly, that's what I use. Rarely do I drop off a whole room.
Right.
I'm not throwing the drop cloth down. I'm messy, but I'm not that messy. I can control it a little bit. And so I use the runner, put it up against the wall I'm working. It comes out 4 feet.
Yeah.
Plenty easy to work with. A canvas runner is about $22.
Exactly.
And that's really, definitely something you will use over and over and over again. Now,
and not just for paint projects either.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. My parents, I was over there and they had bought some cabinet thing that Dad's got to put together now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're busy spreading out their little canvas drop cloth. They've got a big, 10 by whatever or a 9 by whatever. And that's what Dad worked on. And it was way nicer than how I would have worked at home. So they use theirs for all kinds of different things. If that's you, spend the money, get the canvas. You're not going to regret that.
No, exactly.
All right, last one, fast, Haley, tape. Skimp, don't skimp.
I would splurge on tape. Yep, frog tape is really the way to go. Because if I'm going to take the time to tape, I do not want any bleed through. Like, that needs to be a guarantee.
Okay. All right. I think this is one I would skimp on if I need to save money, because we did that test where we tested, you and I, all the different tapes that we sell. I would never buy the brown masking tape. Don't do that. You'll put it on, you're still going to have bleed through no matter what you do. And that's what we tested. We put all these different tapes down. One side of the tape we push down with our finger. The other side we press down more tightly with a putty knife, the flat blade of a putty knife.
Yep.
When we did the blue painter's tape, the standard blue painter's tape, we got the press down with the putty knife lines were just as sharp as the frog tape lines.
That's
so
fair.
If you do it and you apply it the right way, you can save some money, because frog tape it's a little more expensive.
Yeah, it's over $7 a roll.
Know thyself is what you need to do.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to go around and push all those edges down with a putty knife, then drop the extra money and get the frog tape. Now, We've only got a minute left, just under that. You kind of totaled up, Haley, how much you would save if we took your advice.
Yes. So if we got the very best of everything, you would end up spending around $101 on every single thing that you need for your paint project. If you take our advice and go with the skimps that we recommended, then you're saving a total of $50.
Okay.
So pretty big savings. And you could save even more if you end up signing up for our DIY savings program. It's a text that goes out once a month. And this month, you could save $10 on your purchase.
All right. And they can do that online at repcolite.com. We'll have that right on the homepage. And one last thing about all of these tools is even the cheap ones that we talked about are generally things that are going to stay with you from project to project. So the next project, you'll save even more because you'll already have some of these things that will still be functioning just fine. So anyway, something to think about. We're going to take a break. When we come back, it's cheapo wallpaper and some projects to do with it. That's all just ahead. Stay tuned. Is that all right?
Yeah.
It's really long.
Dang.
Let's see if I